when it's so weird to see a region and then see, teams from all the way in Pensacola and then all the way down to like Oviedo. How soon do you think before we're gonna have to expand to a couple classifications for girls? Because that is a big region.
When you count out actually how many teams are in the region, it's over 70 teams. So it's unrealistic to be able to try to keep a region with 70 teams in it. So they're going to either have to start splitting up the districts and making more districts to make the regions work better.
Welcome back to the North Florida Wrestling Show. Today, Jeremiah LaFountain of Mosley on to talk about the recent regional girls competition. First off, Jeremiah, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jordan.
Yeah, man. I know you and I were talking a little bit before the tournament yesterday, and I really liked some of the thoughts so I'm glad that we get a chance to continue that thread. Before we begin, big shout out to Matanzas for winning the whole thing in the Region 1 girls competition with Flagler Palm Coast finishing a second with only 5 wrestlers. Jeez. Middleburg coming up third, Ponte Vedra, which is really cool seeing them as an all women's coaching staff up in fourth. And then our Gulf Breeze, Childs, and North Bay Haven finishing fifth, sixth, and seventh, respectively. Also, a good shout out to North Bay Haven for District 1 girls championships as well. So big shout out to them. But hey, man, it was really cool. It was really cool to see such a awesome girls tournament with such good wrestlers and good teams. That's the first time I've gotten to see a lot of these girls teams from down south, and they did not disappoint at all. Dude, what did you think about it?
Oh, no, there was some great girls. I mean, there was some definite upsets that we saw. We were watching some of the girls things that we were expecting to see with some of the girls, and then some of the upsets that we saw. I would say some of my girls, we were sitting there kind of nail biters. There was probably a 30-minute stretch that there was just some upsets that my girls were like, Coach, did you see that? I can't believe that one lost or this one was put into the Concy side. And it was like, yeah, that was a
That
complete
happens.
unexpected type of thing. And then they're kind of, my girls were like, okay, now I guess we're visual learners. We believe that anyone can be beat. And I'm like, we try to tell you that, but you got to see it firsthand.
Yeah, that's such a great point too, because I a lot of our girls were first year. We had our 2 girls that did really well. The Alexis Crumnow and Orcutt, they both
Alexis
ended up
Orcutt, yeah.
getting third. But a lot of our freshman girls, they see some of the people that they saw during the season, like, okay, that's really good. But then they saw someone like that. I think it was the 25-pound or 30-pound. Both of the Flagler Palm Coast girls at the 25 and 30 were really good. I think it was a 25-pound when that was. They saw her wrestle the pace girl. And it was like we were, and even I was like, okay, I'm expecting a good match. I'm excited to see how this. And she went out there and just it was impressive. She was, but they were saying like, wow, this is crazy. I'm like, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah,
there's
my girls were highlighting that one too with Pace's Lahela, that they were kind of shocked because we're used to seeing her at events and they've never seen her lose, and to
yeah,
see what Flagler did. And then even my 130, we went down to Clay a couple weeks ago and she had to wrestle the Villar girl, and she was looking at the bracket. She was like, "Oh, this is going to be great if I win my first match. That's who I'm going to have to wrestle again." Um, and she wasn't ecstatic about having to wrestle her again. And then
no, man.
watching her go on to take first, it was like, yeah, she was an animal.
It was a very it was such a good experience too. I'm really glad that they had some wild cards. Like I know that as it expands more and the more girls get into it, like the wild cards being less and less of a thing. But I'm glad that a couple, they made the effort to expand it and make sure the brackets were a little bit filled out, because a lot of our ninth graders got a chance to, get 2 extra matches and then see like these girls that are at different levels. And, just like you said, it's being able to visualize it and be able to see it. And I was on them too. I'm like, about time the finals come up, I'm like, hey, make sure you're watching this. And a lot of times I didn't even have to tell them, like I could see them in the stands sitting there watching these girls that are performing at that high level and be like, okay, I can get there. Like they can see themselves, in that, in that place in a couple of years. Which that's what I want to mention too. I was looking at track wrestling, and there's so many underclassmen in that regional, in the regions that we just came from. So a lot of these girls that, or I even know on our side for NISA, we had so many girls that were just starting to put it together as the later season got there. Like some of the ones that maybe have never gone into athletics before, or wrestling's just a whole different animal altogether, but they started putting those pieces into place. So, I'm hoping we can keep them out for the postseason, but it was really nice to get them those extra matches.
Yeah, it was exciting to get to see definitely how some of the girls' competition was. And like I said, I mean, we don't get to see a lot of the farther south teams like Matanzas. I mean, I know last year we went south down to Hernando for one of the tournaments and got a little bit of a preview of here's kind of what we may see at the regional type event. This year we weren't able to, so this was really the first experience other than Clay getting to see that. And Clay was a big one for us because it's like we need to go see some of what we're going to see. I know we're going to see Middleburg at the region. We're going to see Clay at the region. So let's kind of get out there. Let's go see a little bit, at least once, of what we're going to see. And yeah, it was at least we got that eye opener, so we at least knew what we were going to go into going into the region. And yeah, it was there.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about that. Like, so when it's so weird to say region and then see, teams from all the way in Pensacola and then all the way down to like Oviedo, I think was the lowest one. So, and obviously it's a numbers game and everything, but it seems like, at least like I said, this is, I can only come talk to my experience, but Niceville's girls wrestling team grew from about three to, about 14, 15 by the time that we were done with it. I don't think that's an isolated trend. How soon do you think before we're going to have to expand to a couple classifications for girls? Because that is a big region, and then also even in districts, I noticed that some weight classes only had like four wrestlers, but then you had like a couple brackets that there was 8 or 9 people in there. Eventually it's going to get very over. Not I wouldn't say oversaturated, but just a huge tournament.
Yeah, it within the next couple of years, they're definitely going to have to look at it. I mean, I know this year with us hosting the girls district for our area, I mean, we have 21 teams. It should have been 22 teams. 22 teams in one district, that's a lot. Now, once it actually gets to where it's a full 14 girls on that team, a 22 team district is going to be unrealistic because you're not going to be able to run a district in one day with that. And then looking at this region, when you count out actually how many teams are in the region, it's over 70 teams. So it's unrealistic to be able to try to keep a region with 70 teams in it. So they're going to either have to start splitting up the districts and making more districts to make the regions work better. And then it just becomes more complicated of how do you isolate that out of creating more districts like it is now for the boys with only the four regions to truly try to isolate down to get the best of the best.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good problem to have, though. Like it's definitely not the worst problem that we can have as a growing sport. But I think it's something they should probably start get, or they might already have it. But I'm curious to see if they have something already kind of planned because the trajectory that it's going. I'm a very data driven dude, so like just the way that the data is pointing, we're gonna have a lot of women competing in the next like couple of years. So I feel like that's
Yeah,
something they need to go
yeah,
ahead.
I'd like to know that plan. I'd like to know if they have it on the table of creating the 2A for the girls to be able to split out the bigger schools from the 1A like it was done with the boys to help delineate that out so that we're not mashing it all together to where some of the smaller schools it may not be able to get the numbers of the girls. It doesn't get lost on them and we lose these smaller programs in the transition.
Yeah, that's true. Although there's some coaches out there that be like, "Hey, just keep it one division. One woman walks out on top." They want the boys division like that as well. I know a couple people. Although I'm in that same bracket as well. I like the three that we have going for the boys. I don't think that there should be any more. Maybe I can see someone arguing for like two, but I like where it's at. I don't want to see it become like Georgia where it's like six divisions. So let's continue on the girls one. I know that you had a huge problem, and it's something that Coach Wainwright from Swanee mentioned as well. And actually mentioning that Swanee just won the weightlifting state championship in the girls division. And I know that one of your uh, younger prospects that you were very excited to for this regions had to miss out because she was competing in these state championships. Which how'd she do, by the way?
So talking to her coach, she ended up taking sixth in one and 10th in the other. It sounds like on Thursday that she had gotten sick and was a little under the weather, hadn't been able to eat, lost like 4 pounds. So struggled a little bit, wasn't up to strength, but still took sixth in traditional, 10th in Olympic. So at least she came back with a medal, which was good. Um, but the ideal that we have an athlete that is 18-2 on the wrestling side, took first out of districts, and the overlap between the wrestling regionals and states for the weightlifting fall on the same days. And we're making athletes have to pick which one they want to try to do when we're trying to grow girls' sports. I mean, it puts girls into a hard position, and we're trying to
Yeah.
make them pick between a sport that they're doing good at that doesn't have a scholarship opportunity to a sport that they're doing good at also, but it's their first year and it's unknown of how far they can go when they've already qualified to go to state versus trying to qualify to go to state. Which one do you try to do? Which one do you pick?
Yeah.
Whereas if the state does some things and we can move a date one way or another, now we're making it to where they can do both and we're not making them have to pick. And I think that's going to help grow the sport because we want the girls to be stronger. But if I can't be able to weight lift, how do I make them stronger? And I want them to wrestle. And I mean, that's one of the selling pitches. Me as a
Yeah.
coach is to be able to tell you, hey, I want you to go do all the weightlifting stuff that you can do. You can come to me an hour late from practice if you're weightlifting. If you have a meet and it's on a Wednesday, go do your meet for weightlifting and come back to practice on Thursday. No problem. We're good. But then when you have the overlap, my heart goes out for a young lady that is a freshman. I think as time moves on, hopefully it gets fixed to where they fix the overlap. But I mean, I've got this stud freshman that was 18-2, has only lost to two Alabama people that I was really excited and would love to have seen what she could have done this year.
Would you like to see the seasons like moved, or would you like to see just the? Because I know you were mentioning that regions doesn't have to be necessarily on a Saturday. It just happens to be the day that generally gets picked. Especially with the boys being a 2-day, with the girls is a 1-day right now. But even that, how long is that going to last? Do you think it would be better just move to a different season, or what are you thinking?
I don't even know about the different season quite yet. I know at least for us, like being at Mosley, we run the girls and the boys practices at the same times. It keeps it easier of having it all together. Um, Ideally, I'd love to be able to say that we have a separate program. The girls could have their own time, boys could have their own time. But this could be something, boys districts could be on a Saturday where we have more of a team where we're taking it out right now, where the region could be on the Friday, where it's still we're taking kids out of school, but where on the district portion of it, I took 14 boys out of school on Friday. For the region portion of it, I would have been taking two girls out of school on Friday. That's really not an impact on the school side as much, definitely not on the teachers or on the kids missing as much. I would have had two kids missing, whereas on Friday I take 14 kids out of school. It's
Right.
the same amount of time. It's the same day. Whereas the region, yeah, some teams may have like Matanzas where they brought a good bunch of kids. North Bay Haven had a good bunch of kids that they pulled out of school for it. But either way, it's for like North Bay Haven where they won the boys district and they won the girls district. So take it either way. Either the boys are missing a school day or the girls are missing a school day. But the overlap for the girls program right now is the one where there's a concern over the weightlifting. And I think we should be looking at the bigger picture of the concession of how do we manage that with the weightlifting schedule that's out there.
Dude, I'll tell you who must have their weightlifting program figured out is Flagler, Palm Coast, Middleburg, and Matanzas. Dude, their girls were jacked, son.
Yes.
Like that one girl we are talking about, I think her name, I gotta look up her. I think her name is like Borgman, and my little nickname for her is like Cyborgman, man, because she has got them like. I was like halfway across the gym, and she was running a crossface or something, and I'm like, that is a well defined bicep over there.
And Point of Vedra did as well. They had a girl, Olivia
It's
Ritchie.
true.
Yeah, I mean, first time we saw her a couple years ago, I mean, she was just jacked and ripped, and it was like, wow.
Yeah, you can tell
And
that they got that. That's what we're trying to get into. I think we just opened up Niceville to get like some of our kids into the weightlifting programs or the weightlifting classes. So we're really excited to see because we have like a lot of like we have like going back, we have such a young team on our girls side that we're pushing that on them and like, hey, hit the weights, make sure we're doing the practice during the off season, and you can make a huge jump in development from this time right now to like next year. So I'm gonna need to get up with them. And one thing I want to mention about the Ponte Vedra too, I love that they had a pretty much all female staff. I only had 5 wrestlers, but it was really cool to see 2 females sitting in the corner at the for it, and I didn't really get to pay attention as much to the rapport between them, but I can imagine that helped because I know we were talking to what was your lady's name at the tournament?
Maggie Brandon.
Maggie Brandon. Yeah, she was super nice too, lovely lady. But she was even kind of alluding to that or agreeing with that, saying that it makes it's so nice to have the woman's presence in the room for the girls, you know?
It is, and it helps because there's just some stuff that the girls are more comfortable being able to talk to a woman coach about. I mean, I'm not going to say my girls are shy about talking to me about stuff, but there's just some stuff that I would really prefer. Yes, you go talk to her about because that's a female. There's just some things I don't need to know.
Well, and even so, because like starting to talk about like some postseason stuff for the girls. You know, you headed up the Not Playing Janes when we went up to the Deep South, and yeah, you were the head coach of the team. But then you had that. I asked her what was her name again. That girl that came in and
That was with Savannah. Yeah, we put Savannah Pitts with him.
that's who. Yeah,
Yeah, Savannah. Yeah, and
she's
she was one of the wrestlers that wrestled for us a couple years back, state qualifier. She's up in Huntington right now. And yeah, the girls for Not Playing Janes, like they loved her and they listened to her so well that like Jason and I both just kind of sat back and Savannah kind of ran that show that whole weekend.
dude, right? I loved it. I loved her energy. I loved that entire team's energy. Man, I think that y'all are gonna have to do at least two teams this year with how much wrestling has grown in the area. And I know I'm pushing off season wrestling on our girls and all of our athletes, but especially to these girls that are just getting into it, being like, these tournaments, there's all these places, there's these teams that you can get on to make friends and get that experience that you're lacking. So I would love to see like a second, maybe Not Playing Jane's A and B.
Yeah, and I mean that's the hope. I know we're looking at definitely. We do Deep South every year, and typically for the boys side of it, I'm able to field the team. The girls side of it, we definitely try to reach out to work with Jason for Not Playing Janes. We reach out to Riley from down south out of um, oh, I want to say it's Mainland, but it's not Mainland. I don't know why I can't think of her team right off the top of my head. But I know her club team's Big Money Moving. We work with her to try to get girls placed so that we have a girls team for when we go up to Deep South. We'll try to do Megatron again this year. We'll do Spartan Nationals to take a team to try to qualify for Fargo. Um, so yeah, let your girls know for that one. I mean, we're always trying to be able to field a full team to be able to try to get these kids more mat time. It's some of the bigger stuff, even if they go 0-2, it's just so they get that experience.
Well, in the dual tournaments too, like where
Oh
you
yeah,
even if you're not the greatest, you're still gonna get the matches in, and
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 it's a
hope.
ton of mat time.
Yeah. Well, and it's just the experience as well is so great. Getting a chance to go and get a chance to be on a team with some of these girls that you've maybe just seen at tournaments. Like our 170 pounder made that comment, like she's excited to like make these friends at these tournaments from other teams and go there and just know everybody. And that brought me back to like when I was a kid. I'm like, that's exactly how it is. And so I'm excited for them to have all those options, especially between the war zones that are coming up and then the Gator Cup that Joe's putting on. I think we'll see a huge jump in the women's participation of it.
Yeah, I
um
think so, definitely with those, and those are good ones. And that's one of the great ones. That's why, like, I love the travel stuff. And like I said, we'll have Savannah with us this summer, traveling around with the girls. We'll have Henley back in the room with us some this summer, working with the girls. So I think we're gonna have some good stuff with the girls, trying to work this summer, bringing a D1 athlete in, bringing a D3 athlete in to be able to try to work in the room.
They do. If Henley ever wants to come over to Niceville and run a little clinic, dude, let us know. I would
All
absolutely
right.
love to have the girls around her and
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll talk to her when next time I talk to her about it.
yeah, because we haven't even broached freestyle with the girls yet. I'm a big folk style fan anyway, but I know majority of it for girls in colleges is freestyle. So we might not sure how soon we want to break another style to some of these new girls. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
I
takedowns are takedowns. It's just some of the other
yeah.
stuff.
I think that the females should be. I think that it should be folk style in college. Period. But they didn't ask
Yeah.
my opinion on that.
Well, I'm with you on that one, and it sounds like some of the stuff I've read Nick Perler is as well
Yeah.
some of the other John Smith and some of those types.
Well, I'm a big fan of folk style wrestling in general. Like I was watching a quote with Bo Nichols saying that he's like, I think this is just the more accurate representation of like what you think wrestler is. And I'm like, I agree. But I've also been a big proponent of them I think they should make some kind of like pro folk style league. Like they have pro grappling with submissions and everything, but that's still more akin to sport jiu-jitsu.
Well,
I think there's money on the table for a league above the collegiate
and our
background.
rules are a lot simpler than the freestyle stuff, and you're not seeing 5-minute video reviews trying to figure out the scoring that happened.
Or even I had noticed this other one, like it can be a little bit daunting for a new fan if you go out there and see like, okay, go out there and then all of a sudden it's like a quick 30-second tech. And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, what happened? But whereas if you see like someone like Spencer Lee getting on top of someone and like, scoring 4, 5, 6, like, tilts or put them to their back constantly, it just, to me, it's more exciting. I like the seeing like of constantly trying to put someone to their back, not just trying to get exposure, but that's my 2 cents on it. I'd love to see it, and not to continue belabor it, but you see a lot of these guys coming out of D2 that are undefeated, or not a lot, but you see some guys coming out where they got 2 or 3 national titles. It's like it would be cool to see, even if it's not for like these guys are competing for a belt, which who knows, maybe they go up and spoil some national champion from D1, but it'd be cool to see these matchups because I make the mention of Joey Davis, who was a 4-time NCAA Division II undefeated wrestler, and he wrestled Alex Dillinger, who was a D1 3-time D1 champion, but they did it in freestyle. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like they both were champions in folk style. Why are we seeing how the matchup in freestyle? That didn't
Yeah,
make
let's
too
see a
much
real
sense.
folk style
Yeah,
competition.
exactly. Like I'm curious. I would just that was me. But moving on to the boys division, the regional tournament is this weekend. What is your thoughts about it this weekend? I haven't been to a regional tournament in quite a while, so I'm excited to see how it's been developing. Can you give me a preview?
Well, we went last year. We took 12 into it last year at Lincoln and had 3 go out in the blood round with a little heartbreak. So
That's always the worst.
I'm taking 10 into it this year.
It's
I've
a tough
got
region.
Yeah, it's a rather tough region, especially when you start pulling in. You've got Fleming, Clay, so there's some definite toughness into the region when it got reshaped last year. Not to not counting that you've got Lincoln, Childs, you guys,
Gulf
Pace,
Breeze.
Gulf Breeze. I mean, like our area alone before it got shifted and we got moved into the district that we're in, the region before it got reshaped was already a hard region, and all they did was make it a little bit stouter. Um, so I'm hopeful. I'm pretty optimistic. I've got a couple that I definitely feel strongly about, and I've got my other handful that if the cards hit right, that could be some good upsets.
Yeah, I'm trying not to look at track wrestling too much. I know the bracket's already out. I did a quick like look over, but I'm trying not to go too crazy into it and
I
do all the
looked at them. I saw a couple that I tried to tell my kids at districts, you really want to be a 3 and not a 4. A couple of them came out as a 4, and looking at the bracket where they fell, the ones they drew were not very favorable ones.
Yeah. You never know how it's gonna shake out though, man. You could lose that first one and get that perfect. It
Yeah,
might
the
be the
perfect
long
lineup.
road. Yeah, it might be the long road home, but it might just be the people that you need. It just sucks fighting having your back against the wall in that
Yeah,
scenario. You know, I'm
yeah.
excited
So,
to see some of the matchups though.
like you said, the long road.
It is a long road. Even if you're out there like pinning people, it sucks having that little monkey on your back, knowing like I can't go to my back or anything.
Yeah,
Like, I'm pumped. I'm pumped to see the matchups. You think Fleming Island probably the clear favorite right now?
they're one of definitely. I mean, they were pretty high up in the state duels. Lincoln.
I'm,
I mean, Lincoln was definitely. I mean, they were the district champs on Friday. Had a considerable lead. I mean, not earth shattering, but they were the clear number one Friday at the district over Childs, and we were third.
how did that match up with your boy, your heavyweight and Ryder Luck go?
5-4 match.
Dude, I
Five
wish I
four.
could. I wish I could saw that. When I saw that he got second, I was like trying to figure out who was in there. Then I remembered Ryder's in there.
Yeah,
Ryder,
it
good
was.
for him though, dude. Ryder's been working hard this off season,
Yeah,
so
he
it's
has.
nice.
He was moving good.
Yeah,
Nothing I could say bad about it there.
no, he's a good dude. Dude, I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this region.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. There's like I said, there I've got so my 165 Andrew Yates that just came down from being a 75.
That's right.
He came out of the district as the district champ. Hard fought match against Lincoln's Crump for the championship. Um,
That's going to be a
so
tough weight class, 65.
yeah,
I
that
think
one That's a tough
65,
one. 75
120,
is going to be a stout weight class.
75 for
Uh,
sure. I think
the
120 is a deep
heavy
weight
pretty
class.
good. 120 is pretty deep. 106 is pretty stacked. Uh, yeah, some of these weight classes there's some real heavy hitters across the board, and even looking at it, some of the ones that came out of the regions aren't. I don't think some of the ones are safe. I mean, I
Yeah,
think we're
honestly.
looking at what we saw in the girls that there's going to be some upsets in the quarters that are going to grab some people and be like, wow. Even the kid with the great record isn't necessarily going to be the one that comes out on
Like,
top.
yeah, dude. I tell the kids too, that's double for state. Like, even if you get in as a number, obviously, like you want to be the highest seed that you can, but you get in there as a number 4 seed, you're still going, man. Like, I won regions 3 times, and the first 2 times that I won it, my very first match at state, I was bounced out and in the losers bracket. So I mean, just get there and let the chip. That's the exciting part about it, though. That's what I love about not being able to see the regional tournament. Like, it's you see it districts, and after that, it's like, all right, let it fly. Like, let's see where it goes.
Yeah, because then it's pretty much it is what it is. You just got to toe that line, and whoever lines up across you, you just got to go handle your business.
Well, so let me ask you this about travel. Travel for a tournament like this, taking a big team. Are you guys headed? We're coming over here from not too far from where you guys are at. You guys going over on Wednesday, or are you going over Thursday morning?
So actually, we're gonna end up going. We'll have our normal practices Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're gonna end up going over Thursday. Um, Ideally, if the weigh-in times had probably been 12 or 12:30, we probably would have left early Friday morning. But at 10 o'clock weigh-in, I'm not trying to make the kids get up
Do
that
all that.
early
Yeah,
and try to deal with that. I want to make sure they get at least a good night's rest
get in
Thursday
there.
night. Um, so we'll try to manage the expectation and see come Wednesday-ish how practice looks Monday through Wednesday, whether or not we need to leave early Wednesday or if we can kind of have a normal Wednesday.
Yeah, Jacksonville ain't too bad. It's the drive that Kissimmee that's gonna kill me because we getting people to state, so we're already
Yeah,
going over there. Uh,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure we're going. It's just a matter of how many rooms we're gonna.
yeah, I know. You know what they need to do? They need to book a state championship up in North Florida for once. Give us a break. Let them drive up to us. It's not fair. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up, man. I will see you at Regions, dude. I'm really pumped about it. I hope we both have success and get to continue on our season a little bit more with these fine young gentlemen. But man, I appreciate you coming on.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. We'll see you Friday.